News4Jax starts right now with a breaking news alert.
Right now at noon, new numbers just in from the Florida Department of Health show a number of single-day records reached in the past 24 hours in the ongoing fight against the coronavirus.
A new record number of COVID-19 related deaths were reported across Northeast Florida, 17 since yesterday. Duval County also reporting a new record for deaths reported in a 24-hour period. 9 people have died from the virus. Columbia County has reported 3 new deaths since yesterday. Clay had 2, and Bradford, Putnam, and St. Johns counties all recorded 1 new death each.
Across Florida, a new record number of hospitalizations, 581 residents battling the virus as the number of cases continues to surge. In the past 24 hours, the state also reported nearly 12,500 new coronavirus infections, bringing the statewide total over 400,000 positive tests since the pandemic began in March. Just more than a month before the Republican National Convention was set to start in the River City, President Trump dropped a bombshell and a change in plans, canceling the RNC here in Jacksonville. He cited a flare-up of coronavirus cases in Florida as the main reason.
The event was expected to draw thousands to Jacksonville. President Trump's formal renomination will still go forward in Charlotte, North Carolina. The president also says he will deliver his acceptance speech, but in front of a smaller crowd. The new plan includes tele-rallies and online events for the week the convention was planned.
Now that the Jacksonville leg of the RNC has been canceled, a number of questions remain. City Council met for a special meeting today. They were scheduled to discuss plans for the convention.
Instead, members discussed the questions they have in the wake of the cancellation. News4Jax reporter Jim Piggott joins us live now from VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena, which was set to be the hub for convention activities.
Jim, many of the city council members have questions about what happens now with the money.
Well, that's right. You know, you could almost hear a collective sigh of relief as the full council was meeting today. All 19 members were there virtually, and they did have questions about money that was possibly spent leading up to this and what happens now. But I think Council President Tommy Hazzuri summed it up best with these statements.
Certainly we're walking on thin ice the whole time, but we made it to the end of the pond. And I think it ended up, like I said, a happy ending for Republicans, Democrats, and above all, the citizens of Jacksonville.
But there were those questions like if the city did spend any money in courting the RNC to come here. And according to officials in the mayor's office, no, none took place. Even though there were a lot of man hours done in planning on this, they said that there was no physical money spent. That was one thing that council members wanted to know. They also, Garrett Dennis wanted to propose some types of legislation that would have to give council approval before an event like this would be allowed to come, since it would involve so much of Jacksonville. That may be something that they'll take up at a later date. Now, again, we have not heard from the mayor. He's expected maybe to talk to Fox News this afternoon. He and the sheriff, well, they're not available today to talk to local media. We're live from the arena. Jim Piggott, Channel 4, the local station.
Right now, monitoring several tropical storms, including Hanna.
The organization's hurricane hunters posted these pictures to Twitter about 2 hours ago, showing their flight last night into the Gulf to check Hanna's strength. Richard is tracking Hanna as well as Tropical Storm Gonzalo that's turning much farther out in the Atlantic.
Yeah, we'll start here first with Hanna. She's a bit closer, and she's actually bringing some drier air into our forecast. So while she won't be doing the same through coastal Louisiana into Texas, what we're seeing here is a slow slosh of a mover here. So 9-mile-an-hour forward speed moving to the west-northwest. Expected to pick up some speed, now up to 65-mile-an-hour winds, as it will be a strong tropical storm here as it makes landfall between Corpus Christi and Brownsville, Texas, turns toward the Rio Grande, slowing down even more. It won't be much of a wind maker at that point, but it's still going to be the potential for a flood maker. 11 o'clock update, the change here, now this is Saturday evening, so here's 65 and there's 70, and you can see as it approaches the leeward and the windward island, so it's still possible that a brief hurricane before the weakening, and as I've been saying all morning long, the forecast models, even with the updates this morning, they continue to wind this thing down quickly. The National Hurricane Center now showing that depression toward the Monday forecast. And then we've got one more system that's lurking, a 30% chance right now, but we'll get to this coming up in your full forecast, and I'll show you the model data with what has not yet fully started to form. It's a 0% chance but by the time it gets into that yellow swath of open real estate, this is where it does start to take shape. And it's something that we might be talking about, not here in the month of July, but as we get into early August. We'll pick the story up here and take you through that coming up in just about 10 minutes. Jen and Bruce, back to you.
Facing the fall with the cancellation of the RNC right now, it's not clear if the state will approve the Duval County School District's reopening plan. The school board approved the plan last night around the same time that the president was making his announcement. We asked Superintendent Dr. Diana Green if the cancellation changes anything. She says there are still a number of reasons the district needs to move forward with a hybrid attendance model. Dr. Green says the district is still factoring in transportation, food service, and the overall number of students returning to campus. She says if the state does not approve the district's reopening plan, it could lose up to $70 million in state funding. Under the plan, students would return to school August 20th, which is 10 days later than originally scheduled. Elementary students will attend in-person classes 5 days a week. Middle school students will start in-person learning on August 20th and will be on a staggered schedule 3 or 4 days a week. High school students will start on a staggered schedule with in-person learning 2 days a week. 3 days will be distanced learning on Duval homeroom. Then, starting on September 14th, depending on the impact of COVID-19, middle and high school students could return to in-person learning 5 days a week. Virtual learning is also still an option for all students. Dr. Green is encouraging all families to register for Duval homeroom, even if they plan to send their children to school in person. The deadline to do that was extended to July 31st.
Voted to push back the first day of school last night. Students will now return to class August 24th. The board also approved the district's reopening plan, which includes 3 options for students. Students can return to the classroom full-time. They can take part in school-based distance learning or enroll in virtual learning. During the meeting, the school board made a clarification in its reopening plan using the word face coverings to replace masks, because there are 3 options that people can wear to cover their face on campus. Those include masks, a plastic shield, or bandana. All staff will be required to wear face coverings at all times. Elementary students can take theirs off while outside and seated at their desks, socially distanced from other students. 6th through 12th grade students will have to wear masks indoors and in the classroom unless they are 6 feet apart. Taking a look at the start dates, county by county, as we mentioned, Duval County Schools scheduled to reopen August 20th. St. Johns County, the schools reopen the 31st. Nassau returns the 24th. Right now, Clay County is set to start August 11th, but the school board is set to vote on a proposal to push the first day back to August 24th. That vote comes next week. Columbia County students kick off the school year August 13th. Putnam County will start the fall semester on the 24th. Baker, Bradford, Flagler counties, the first day for students right now is set for August 10th.
And taking a look at our southeast Georgia counties, Camden County is set to be the first school district to start the fall semester on August 3rd. Charlton County students will start the 5th. Brantley students will start a day later on the 6th, Ware on the 17th, and Glenn County on August 20th. Time is ticking for parents in Camden County to decide how their children will learn this fall. The deadline to apply for virtual learning is 4 o'clock this afternoon.
There's another last-minute change ahead for the school year. The Florida High School Athletic Association reversing course, and it's changing the start date for fall sports to August 24th. That means no games before September 7th. Decision comes just days after the association voted to continue as scheduled. Fall sports were originally approved to begin July 27th. The new date could change again. It all depends on the number of coronavirus cases in the state and the positivity rate. Now, as plans continue to change for back to school, News4Jax wants to help parents by holding a series of live virtual town halls with school leaders county by county. Some of you will have a chance to take part and ask specific questions. Our first is set for Thursday, July 30th at 11 on News4Jax.com. It will focus on Duval County's public schools. Joining me will be Superintendent Dr. Diana Green, Duval Teachers Union President Terry Brady, and School Bus Driver Union Representative Rebecca Cardona. Now, while we expect it to fill up fast, you can still earn a free seat inside our live virtual town hall by becoming a News4Jax Insider. Go to News4Jax.com/insider and sign up for that free account.
About an hour ago, Coast Guard commanders with Unified Command gave an update on the recovery efforts to remove the Golden Ray cargo ship from the St. Simons Sound. News4Jax reporter Brittany Muller joins us live from the newsroom. Brittany, you were monitoring the virtual meeting. What's the latest on the removal operations?
Jen, Bruce, it's been nearly 11 months since the Golden Ray capsized. The goal was to have the 656-foot ship out ahead of the peak of hurricane season. But a half an hour ago, we heard from the Unified Command, which says only cutting and lifting operations are on hold until October 1st. All other aspects of the response will continue on. This is a live look at the St. Simons Sound. During the virtual meeting, the Unified Command says the impact of the pandemic influenced this decision to pause the operation. 10 essential responders tested positive for COVID-19, including a salvage master and a crane operator. More than 50 others were placed into quarantine. Responders say COVID-19 measures are now in place, including daily health checks, temperature readings, making face coverings required, and social distancing. The pandemic is also placing a delay in receiving some equipment. Officials have created what they call our 3 bubbles to separate crews, one for salvage, another for on-water crews, as well as for the command center. Any new crews coming in will be quarantined for 14 days. The Unified Command says while hurricane season is a big concern, having the Golden Ray intact will minimize the impact to the St. Simons Sound.
As long as it's remain intact, all the analysis reveals that the vessel will remain exactly where it's at. We'll have rough weather and all that. Nothing will affect it. It will not move.
This was not an easy decision to make, but the threat of heavy weather during wreck removal and impacts to the schedule caused by COVID-19 clearly make this the right thing to do.
Now, during the 2-month pause, operations will continue on. The Unified Command says it can address logistical challenges. There is also a heavy weather plan in place. It's identified locations where resources can find safe refuge. It will also be installing additional mooring pilings. The massive heavy lifting crane that will lift each of the 8 sections of the Golden Ray is still at the Port of Fernandina. The Unified Command says the VersaBar 10,000 may move, but the equipment is dedicated to this removal operation. It says once it starts cutting, it'll take about 8 weeks to complete. But as we approach the 1-year mark, we are anticipating the Coast Guard to release its investigation report, and that's when we will learn what caused the roll-on, roll-off ship to overturn. Jen, Bruce.
Thank you. New at noon, just moments ago, President Trump presented the Olympic athlete and former Congressman Jim Ryan with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It is the highest civilian honor. Before the event, the president tweeted, "The great Jim Ryan will be honored." He also issued a message congratulating Ryan and his family. Presidential Medal of Freedom is awarded to people who have especially meritorious contributions to the security or national interests of the United States. In announcing the decision to honor Ryan, the president said in a statement the former congressman is one of the most accomplished American runners in history, and he honorably served his home state of Kansas for 10 years. Coming up, following proper safety measures can help prevent newborns from contracting COVID-19.
The precautions new mothers who have been exposed to the virus need to